Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay on the video, but we're here. So, as you can see in the title, being a gay sailor. It's something that we've touched upon, but we've never really actually gotten into. As you know, Nick and I are a couple. We're engaged to be married. And so being gay is part of who we are as individuals and as sailors. Over the weekend, some things happened, and we wanted to touch upon it. And I will admit, I'm still fresh, and things are still kind of very heightened for me, so I'm a little shaky, partially from coffee, partially because I am rather frustrated and hurt and angry. So I've actually written a statement to kind of detail what happened. And before I say that, we mentioned in a group, specifically the YouTube Sailing channel group on Facebook, that we were a gay couple. And it led to a whole swath of okay, it's telling me there's an error, but I don't know if I'm still live. So it led to a whole swath of comments and hate that I can't even begin to get into. But I will read you what I've written. So I debated whether or not I should say this, because I didn't want to start any trouble or create any more drama. I know several people who follow us have found us from the YouTube Sailing Channel group on Facebook. We woke up today and found out the comments had been turned off the post. Shortly after, we received a message from one of the admins saying we put them in a precarious situation, that due to their rules and Facebook rules, they had to defend us from any hate speech. First of all, I didn't realize that standing up for LGBTQ rights was precarious, but okay. They're implying that we use our own sexual orientation to discriminate against everyone who basically wasn't gay, to separate ourselves from them as a marketing ploy and to give ourselves a handicap. They've put the onus on us instead of recognizing the hate that permeated the group during this time. If you saw any of the comments on there, most of them existed in the realm of, you being gay doesn't matter, so why mention it? Well, anyone who has been deemed an other knows that it's just a thinly veiled way of saying, it does matter, don't throw it in my face. It's akin to saying we don't see color, which completely ignores the atrocities committed against Black people when you don't see color. My sexuality isn't a marketing ploy. It's a part of who I am. It is very much plays into my personal story because it has defined how I navigate the world and how the world sees me. Do I wish it was just about my love story? Oh, God, yes. But it isn't. The world doesn't allow it to be so. Instead, it plays a huge driving force in the narrative of my life and our channel. It's just a fact of life. Also, when you add on the fact that a straight person can put their heterosexual relationship front and center and no one bats an eye. They will never tell someone to not mention it because it doesn't matter, because in their eyes it doesn't. These people are the norm, the baseline, the everyman. We are seen as the other, the thing that goes against what they classify as normal. My entire life I have heard the phrase, the gay agenda. which is the belief that we are somehow attempting to turn the children gay and make the world gayer. Quickly following right behind that is the don't shove it in our faces. Don't be so loud about it. Don't be so out about it. Do you have to talk about it? Why can't you just keep it quiet? Most of this comes just by mentioning I'm a gay or the mentioning of my relationship. Nothing more. It's not like I'm having sex in the streets or doing something uncouth. I'm just merely existing, but that is seen as too much. So when they say it doesn't matter, why mention it? They are saying modern-day phrases of all the above phrases I have heard growing up in the South of the United States. They only accept us if we fit into their box and they don't have to see it. Because quite frankly, their sexuality is thrown at me at every corner. Every romance is about a heterosexual couple. "99% of relationships on TV or films are a heterosexual couple. 99% of sailing channels center around a heterosexual couple. Couples who marry or have kids and travel the world completely free of worry or concern. No one questions this or says anything about it. But the moment we even mention the word gay, nope, that's the end. Often I'll consider not saying anything. I will use the words to describe our relationship without ever saying gay or homosexual. I could say we are a couple living together, sailing together, etc. And people will still assume we are nothing more than friends or comrades. I have done this multiple times in my life, and even though the word couple is used, people still assume friends or roommates. My entire life has been that way. So, to stop that problem from occurring, I just say out front, gay. Why? Because when people find out, they will claim you duped them, or lied to them, or tried to trick them. Even though you did no such thing, they still believe as such. It almost feels like a less extreme version of the gay panic defense, which may be hyperbolic for me to say, but it definitely feels that way. This whole situation has reminded me of why I need to stand up and be proud. On the other hand, it has also made me seething mad. For people to pretend to be progressive or accepting. No, they're just tolerant. They tolerate it as long as they don't have to see it or hear about it, which has been my existence thus far. Sure, I live in liberal New England now, but I don't face the sheer level of hate I did when I was younger, but it still exists. Now it's just less brazen. Now that more people find it normal and accepted, the more people will have dog whistles for their hate speech. They will find subtle ways to say things that don't sound horrible upon first glance. It even exists in the LGBTQ plus community. Even we can't escape it at home in our own community. Thankfully, things are changing, but not fast enough. The sailing world is predominantly made up of middle-aged and older, straight, cisgender white men. They seemingly have a monopoly on it. So it's no surprise that these things happen. It doesn't just happen to us, it happens to so many people we know as well, and will continue to happen unless people like us stand up and say who we are proudly and don't back down from it. In the end, should I use my sexuality as a way to market ourselves? Yes, emphatically yes. And you know why? Because it's who we are and what our story is. When we travel the world, we can't escape that fact. No matter what we do, it's something that will always exist. You may have no problem with it, and we may be proud of who we are, but the world doesn't always think that way. They think the inverse, and because of that, we have to say it. Otherwise, we do a disservice to ourselves and our others. They have the right to know us and get a true, authentic story. Full stop. So I will always put it forward. 1, to help make a difference and change minds, and 2, to hopefully inspire other queer people and queer kids to step up and pursue your passion and dreams, no matter what the bigots on Expensive Yachts say. And part of the reason it's important is because laws around the world aren't nearly as accepting as us, or maybe even in parts of Europe. There are still places that we cannot travel because of the laws. And if it's not the laws, then it's the public opinion of people in the queer community. There are places where our sheer existence can be punishable by death. So a lot of these straight people and heterosexual couples travel the Caribbean, in the Indian Ocean, in the Middle East, We can't do that. We could, but we'd have to completely hide everything about us. Anything that makes us look queer or different or other. Because it's illegal. It's not seen, so it's not safe for us to go there. Even just a few years ago, places like North Carolina were listed on the US travel website as places that was recommended for us to not go because of the laws that exist there and the hate crimes that exist there. So it's important that we say who we are. One, to educate people. Two, it's who we are. And three, to help others. And kind of more on a personal note, oh my effing God. You would never ask a straight person to not mention their relationship. By them merely stating who they are, they're talking of their straightness. But by us merely mentioning that we are a gay couple, people are immediately up in arms. If we just said our names and we were a couple traveling the world, people would automatically assume that we're just a couple of sailors or friends traveling the world together, even though those words never existed in the sentence. But they would feel it was implied. Why? Because we aren't the norm, or the baseline, societally speaking. So instead of forcing the bigots to pay the piper, we have to sit down and shut the F up, to be told to put them in a precarious position because they have to defend hate speech. Oh my God. Like, how horrible can that be? I'm not freaking gay by choice. It's part of who I am. I can't just make it go away in what I want to. It's me, and I am it. I can't remember the last time I was actually this angry over something like this. I mean, I faced a lot of hate when I was younger, but not since I left the South and moved to California and then here. And I mean, like, I guess it's just quieter now, and it's not as loud and boisterous. Partially, I think it's because more and more people are coming out. More and more people are identifying as a part of the queer community, and I think that has helped. But instead, now the people that do hate us and that are bigots, they hide behind their rules and their supposed protection of hate speech to get us to not mention it. Instead of blaming others, they put us in the spotlight and say it's our fault for mentioning it. How dare they? When two men or two women are involved, they always assume we're straight. And then when they find out it's true, they lose it. Say that we lied to them, we tricked them. And then it blows the whole thing out of proportion. It's something I learned a long time ago as a gay man. I always need to say it first, because otherwise people will assume differently, or they'll feel that I lied to them or somehow tricked them into thinking I was straight. But I'm not going to hide. I will scream my gayness from the top of a freaking mountain, or the top of a mast, even though I'm terrified of heights, and shout it to the world. Otherwise, to do so would be a disservice to myself, to my fans, to my friends, my family, and other queer people who are living out and proud and are fighting for our right to exist in society. And not even just society, but even the sailing world. I am friends with and am working with groups all around the country that are helping to bring equality to sailing, specifically in the racing world. I can't count the number of stories I've heard of people up in the Great Lakes, or down in the South, being on the receiving end of hate speech during races, being heckled by other people. So often this happens, and yet no one talks about it. Instead, they say that our sexuality doesn't matter. But it does. You all have made it so. I wish it didn't. I wish I could just love who I love and marry who I want to marry and just go sailing and travel the world, but people haven't let that exist that way. It's not something we did, something the world did to us. And quite frankly, it's tough. It's not easy. I have lost family. I've lost friends. And we all have, I think. But it's also the reason we need to stand up and be proud. It's the reason I will continue to stand up and be proud. And hopefully, with that, I can inspire younger people and other people to stand up and be proud of who they are. And even educate those who are not in the queer community. Because we can't go out and fight the injustices in the world a lot of times because we can't go to those places where those injustices exist. But by shining a spotlight on the atrocities that exist in the world and the discrimination we face in the world, we can hopefully change the world. And I don't know if anyone in the YouTube sailing channel group is watching this or sees this. Kind of hope you do. Because this is something that we face on a daily. It's not just you. It's not just this group. It's not just Facebook or the sailing world. Most of us are pros at dealing with this because we've been doing it our entire lives. And we probably will continue to do it for the rest of our lives. And I'm lucky, and Nick is lucky, that we live in the time when we do. Because just 20 years ago, it was a lot worse. And then 20 years before that, even worse. It's getting better. But there's still a long way to go. I can't, in the end, even with everything that I've written, everything I've said here, none of it quite sums up how this makes me feel. Because it's one thing to receive hate and someone just straight up calling us horrible names, because at least you know where that person stands. They're not hiding. They have made their opinions very clear. The anger in this is the people that hide behind the rules and the protection of hate speech. That's the hard part. Because those people, it's different. It's not so brazen, it's not so loud, it's not always so obvious. And they even will make you question what you've done and what you're doing and what you do moving forward. Because they make you question whether you're the problem. But you have to remember you're not. We're not the problem. We just want to sail the world and be a happy couple and share it all with you. That's all we want to do. And this brings me to my last point. Over the last year, we personally have talked off camera about how we wanted to bring these stories to you all. Excuse me. How we wanted to share these stories. We don't want it to be just about us. We want to help share the stories of the people we want to share the stories of the people we meet along the way. And one of the stories is what it's like to be an LGBTQ plus sailor in the world. We want to share the stories about the organizations that exist around this country and around the world that are trying to foster inclusivity and the people behind those organizations. And also just queer sailors around the world. So know that going forward, we will be sharing more of these stories. We already have plans to travel to various places around the country this year to meet up with some of these people from these organizations and to help share their story and to educate you all and the world and to put a spotlight on some of these great people and the great work they're doing. Because that's what we want to do. That's what this is truly about. It's not just about sailing or us. It's about stories. It's about the life. So, anyone who watches this, I want to thank you. because just by watching this, you're already one step further than a lot. We are currently working on our new videos, and I know this was spontaneous and not planned, but we are working on new videos to bring you soon. So thank you all for watching, and I really do, anyone who sees this, hope you subscribe, because we are going to be bringing a lot of really good stuff to you, specifically in regards to these organizations that we're going to be showing you. So thank you all. We hope you subscribe, and you can find us on social media. Specifically, you can find us on Facebook at Sailing Ixion. And that way you can connect with us and a lot of other individuals who were also part of the queer community, the queer sailing world. So thank you all, and we'll see you when we come back with our new videos.